You know that oddly uncomfortable moment when you're at a gathering, the room is buzzing, everyone suddenly erupts into cheers or groans at the exact same time, and you're just there. Half aware, half detached, maybe scrolling your phone, maybe wondering how long you need to stay before it's socially acceptable to slip out. It's not that you don't understand what's happening. You do. You just don't feel it. And if you've ever wondered whether that makes you different or if you're somehow missing something everyone else seems to share, then stay with me. Because by the end of this, you're going to understand exactly why you feel that way. And more importantly, why it might actually say something powerful about how your mind works. There are a few things you need to hear right away. Not caring about sports doesn't make you dull. It doesn't mean you lack excitement or passion or connection. And it definitely doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. But it does mean something is happening beneath the surface, something subtle, something rooted in how your brain processes reward, identity, and belonging. And once you see it clearly, it changes the entire narrative. Let's start with something deeply wired into human history: tribal instinct. Long before modern life, survival depended on being part of a group. A tribe wasn't just social, it was protection, food, safety. Being accepted meant living. Being rejected could mean the opposite. So over thousands of years, the human brain evolved to seek belonging almost automatically. It became one of our strongest internal drives. Now fast forward to today. We don't live in survival tribes anymore, but the instinct didn't disappear. It just adapted. And one of the most visible modern expressions of that instinct is sports fandom. Teams become symbolic tribes. Colors, chants, rivalries, they all create a shared identity. When people gather to watch a game, they're not just watching. They're participating in something that feels collective and meaningful. And here's the fascinating part. When someone's team wins, their brain releases oxytocin, the same chemical linked to bonding, trust, even love. It's the same kind of response you get from meaningful human connection. Watching sports together literally builds social glue. But not everyone experiences this equally. Some people feel that pull intensely, they crave group identity, shared highs and lows, that sense of we. Others don't feel it nearly as strongly. And if you're someone who doesn't care about sports, there's a good chance your brain simply isn't as driven by that tribal bonding mechanism. That doesn't make you distant. It just means your sense of connection operates differently. You don't rely on large, symbolic groups to feel belonging. You may find it in smaller, more personal, or more intentional spaces. And that's only one layer of the story. So if you've ever watched a game and thought, I get why this matters to them, but I don't feel anything, it might not be disinterest in general. It might be selectivity. Your brain isn't easily triggered by surface-level unpredictability. It's looking for something richer. In a way, that means your threshold for excitement is higher, not in a negative sense, but in a more refined one. You don't just react, you evaluate. And unless something genuinely resonates, your brain stays neutral. Then there's something else happening. Something more psychological: identity fusion. For many sports fans, their team isn't just something they follow, it becomes part of who they are. When the team wins, it feels personal. When the team loses, it stings in a strangely intimate way. There's even a pattern in language. After a victory, fans say, "We won." After a loss, it often becomes, "They lost." That subtle shift reveals how deeply people merge their identity with the outcome. There's also another angle worth considering. For some people, not caring about sports comes from past experiences. Maybe you were excluded from it growing up. Maybe you never felt connected to it socially. Or maybe you tried to engage with it and realized it didn't genuinely interest you, even when everyone around you insisted it should. Over time, that disconnect can turn into clarity. You stop pretending. You stop forcing interest where there isn't any. And instead, you begin to invest your energy into things that actually feel meaningful. That choice matters more than it seems. Think about how much time, attention, and emotional energy sports can consume for someone deeply invested. Now imagine redirecting all of that into something else. Learning, building, creating, exploring, connecting in more direct ways. It doesn't make one path better than the other. But it does highlight how different minds allocate focus. Some people pour their passion into teams and seasons. Others pour it into ideas, projects, relationships, or personal growth. Both are valid. They're just different expressions of the same underlying need, meaning. The brain doesn't demand one specific source of meaning, it just seeks it. And once it finds it, it holds on to it. So if sports never became that source for you, it's not because you're missing something. It's because something else fulfilled that role instead. And here's where everything starts to shift. When you look at it from this perspective, the question changes. It's no longer why don't I care about sports? It becomes what do I care about? And why? That's a much more powerful question. Because once you understand where your attention naturally goes, you stop comparing yourself to people who are wired differently. You stop feeling like you're outside of something you're supposed to be part of. And you start recognizing that your version of engagement is just as real, it just looks different. So instead of trying to force interest where there isn't any, you can explore what actually resonates. Where do you feel most alive? What captures your focus without effort? What conversations pull you in completely? Those are your equivalents. Those are your games, your teams, your moments. And once you see that, something else becomes clear. You're not detached, you're selective. You're not uninterested, you're focused elsewhere. You're not missing out, you're just tuned into a different frequency. So here's something simple you can try. Take a moment and map your emotional energy. Not what you think you should care about, but what you actually do care about. Notice where your attention goes naturally, what you think about when your mind is free, what excites you without external pressure. Write it down if you can, not as a list of goals or obligations, but as a reflection of genuine interest. Because once you see that clearly, it becomes much harder to feel out of place. You realize you were never disconnected, you were just aligned differently. And that's not something to fix. It's something to understand. So the next time you find yourself in that room, surrounded by people reacting to something you don't feel, you won't wonder what's wrong with you. You'll know exactly what's happening. And more importantly, you'll know where you stand, not outside of meaning, but connected to it in your own way. There's nothing wrong with you. There never was.